Welcome. In this session, first I'm going to discuss plant life cycles and alternation of generations. After which I start discussing about objective questions on this chapter, plant kingdom. So let's begin this session with plant life cycles and alternation of generations. So plant life cycles and alternation of generations. So here we know the gametophyte, which is haploid. Okay, so this gametophyte is gamete producing. So gamete producing gametophyte and spore producing sporophyte. So sporophyte is diploid and this is spore producing. Okay, now the gametophyte will give rise to the sporophyte and the sporophyte will give rise to the gametophyte. So this is what we call alternation of generations. Okay, so here the gametophyte is haploid, so it's a haploid, okay, plant body, and the sporophyte is a diploid plant body. Okay, so now these two phases of a plant are developed due to the diploid and haploid cells undergoing the mitotic cell division. So when we see here, in case of plants, the haploid cells and diploid cells. Okay, so the haploid cells and diploid cells both undergo mitosis. Okay, so both of them can undergo mitosis, and this results in formation of two different phases of plant life cycle. Okay, so now let us see how this alternation of generation takes place. I will start with gametophyte. So here the gametophyte is haploid plant body. So this is haploid plant body. So this gametophyte is going to produce gametes, and that will be by mitosis, because here the cells of the gametophyte are already haploid, hence it cannot undergo meiosis. Okay, so it will undergo mitosis to produce gametes, and these gametes are male gametes which are haploid, and also the female gametes are haploid. So the male gametes and female gametes, they fuse to form diploid cell, and that is called zygote, and this fusion is syngamy. Okay, so it results in the formation of zygote, and this is, okay, diploid. Now this zygote will undergo mitosis and results in the formation of sporophyte. Okay, so this is the diploid plant body, so you can see here, as I mentioned, haploid and diploid cells undergo mitosis. So these haploid cells of gametophyte undergo mitosis, okay, and they're producing gametes. And here the diploid cell, that is zygote, undergoes mitosis and produces the sporophyte. Okay, and the sporophyte will produce, okay, spores. the sporophyte is going to produce spores by means of meiosis. So it will be by meiosis. As a result, the spores will be haploid, and these spores which are haploid on germination will give rise to gametophyte. Will give rise to gametophyte. Okay, so this is the alternation of generation. So how it takes place in case of plants. Right, so I hope it's clear. Here one more point: the spores, each spore will develop into gametophyte, of course, by means of again mitosis. Okay, so right, this is about the alternation of generations. So now let us see different types of plant, okay, life cycles, like haplontic, diplontic, and haplo-diplontic life cycles. So next one we'll see about. So here three types of plant life cycles. So one is haplontic life cycle, then second one is diplontic life cycle, and third one is haplo-diplontic life cycle. So I'm going to discuss these three types of life cycles. Let's see the first one, haplontic life cycle. So here, coming to the haplontic life cycle, okay, here the sporophyte. So I need to remember here the sporophyte which is diploid, and this sporophyte generation is represented only by one cell. So it is represented by only one cell, and that is the zygote. So in this case, the zygote will immediately undergo meiosis. It will not undergo mitosis to form the sporophyte. Okay, of course, we need to keep in point that zygote is the first cell of sporophyte. So zygote is the first cell of sporophyte. So in this case, okay, zygote undergoes meiosis, okay, immediately. So it will not undergo mitosis and then form a multicellular sporophyte. That we will not see in this life cycle. So we see that most of the time the plant will be seen in gametophytic phase only. So hence in this haplontic life cycle, the gametophyte or gametophytic phase is dominant phase. So it is a dominant phase. So most of the time the plant will be seen in the gametophytic phase only. So because of this we call the haplontic life cycle. So let's see how this is represented. We'll start with the gametophyte. The gametophyte, which is haploid, and this gametophyte will be multicellular. So it is multicellular, and this multicellular gametophyte is going to produce gametes by the process of gametogenesis. So production of gametes, and it results in the formation of male gametes and female gametes, which I have mentioned earlier. So I'm just mentioning two lines. This indicate one is okay, male gamete, and another one is female gamete. Okay, and this results, okay, the fusion, and that's called syngamy, and that results in the formation of zygote 2n. Okay, so this zygote will undergo meiosis, and that results in the formation of haploid spores. So these are spores and they are haploid. Okay, and now these haploid spores are going to develop into gametophyte, of course, by means of mitosis. Okay, of course, here the gametophyte undergoes, it produces gametes by gametogenesis, and that will be by mitosis. Okay, so in this case, the sporophyte. So where is the sporophyte? So in this case, the sporophyte is seen only, okay, this much. Only this portion will come under the sporophyte. So this is the sporophytic phase. Understood? Okay, so the rest of the life of the plant, you will see it in its dominant phase, that is gametophytic phase. So because of this, we call it a haplontic life cycle here. Right, so hence I call this condition as zygotic meiosis. So here we see the zygotic meiosis. So coming to the examples here, most algal genera, okay, most algal genera are one who exhibit this haplontic life cycle. Okay, and there are other examples. We can even take volvox, okay, then chlamydomonas. I'm just giving the examples of this. Okay, okay, and we, okay, even we can just mention Spirogyra too, etc. Are the one who show this uh, Haplontic type of life cycle. Okay, so here of course not all algae will be showing haplontic life cycle. Most algal species will show this haplontic life cycle. Of course, there are other species who will show some as diplontic, and some will show even haplodiplontic mode of life cycles. So this is all about the haplontic life cycle. Next we'll see the diplontic life cycle. The diplontic life cycle. So coming to this diplontic life cycle, okay, here sporophyte is dominant phase. So sporophyte is dominant. So in haplontic life cycle, it's a gametophyte that is dominant. So here you can see in case of the trees and many other plants, what you see around you, almost they are the one who show diplontic life cycle. So most of the time you will see it as a tree or a shrub or a herb. So all they are, okay, sporophytes, and they produce flowers, and inside them are the gametophytes. Okay, so hence the sporophyte is dominant. So let's see, we'll start with the sporophyte, which is 2n, and this sporophyte is going to, okay, produce the spores, okay, by means of meiosis. The spores by means of meiosis. Okay, so these are spores and they are haploid. Okay, and these spores will germinate and produce gametophytes. So it's going to develop into gametophyte. Okay, so here the gametophyte will be right one to few celled. So like we have seen in case of embryo sac, we know I already told you the pollen grain, okay, is male gametophyte. It's male gametophyte, and embryo sac, this will be the female gametophyte. Embryo sac is the female gametophyte, and this pollen grain is two celled, and embryo sac in case of angiosperms, okay, we have seen seven cells. Okay, that's why I mentioned here gametophyte will be one to few cell stage, and this gametophyte, by the process of gametogenesis, it's going to produce, okay, the gametes, the male and female gametes, okay, and they undergo syngamy, so fertilization, and that results in the formation of zygote, that will be 2n, and that will become the sporophyte. So in this case, okay, here we see the mitosis. The zygote will undergo mitosis to produce, okay, sporophyte. So here sporophyte is multicellular. So it is multicellular, but gametophyte is, okay, one to few cells. So earlier life cycle which we have seen haplontic, there the gametophyte is multicellular. Okay, so now when we see this diplontic life cycle, okay, so here only, okay, so this portion will be, okay, of right, the gametophytic stage. So it's a gametophytic stage, and this is a sporophyte. So most of the time the plant will be in sporophyte condition only. So this type of life cycle is a diplontic life cycle. So here coming to diplontic life cycle, the examples we see here are the gymnosperms and angiosperms. So gymnosperms, all gymnosperms and angiosperms will exhibit, okay, such type of life cycle, right? And of course there are certain algal species which also exhibit such type of life cycle. Okay, so like the fucus, the species of okay, algal or alga fucus exhibits this diplontic life cycle. Then, so let's see, the third type is haplo-diplontic. Haplo-diplontic life cycle. So here in case of haplo-diplontic life cycle, uh, in this type of life cycle we see that sporophyte will be multicellular and gametophyte will be also multicellular. Okay, sporophyte will be multicellular, and even the gametophyte will be also multicellular. Okay, so both the phases will be multicellular. We have seen In earlier cases, if sporophyte is multicellular, gametophyte is one celled or few celled, and if gametophyte is multicellular, you have seen sporophyte is single celled. Okay, so in that way, but in haplodiplontic life cycle, you will find both the phases will be multicellular. Okay, so let's see this life cycle. So sporophyte, okay, this is multicellular, so it's a multicellular, and this sporophyte is going to produce spores by meiosis. So this is by meiosis, and these are spores, haploid, and these spores are going to develop into gametophyte, will develop into gametophyte. Okay, of course, that will be by mitosis, and as a result the gametophyte is multicellular. The gametophyte is multicellular, and we know the gametophyte is going to uh, okay produce gametes by gametogenesis. Okay, and that results in formation of male and female gametes. Okay, they are undergoing fusion, it's syngamy, and this results in the formation of zygote. Okay, this is 2n, and the zygote finally develops into sporophyte by mitosis. Okay, so in this case the sporophyte, okay, so will be, okay, so this is we considered, so this phase is the sporophyte, okay, sporophytic phase, and this will be the gametophytic phase. Okay, so now this one in bryophytes. So in case of bryophytes, okay, the gametophyte will be dominant phase. So gametophyte is dominant. Okay, so it is dominant, and it is independent, so that is free living. It doesn't depend on sporophyte for its nutrition. Okay, then it is photosynthetic, so it performs photosynthesis, and it may grow erect, okay, or okay prostrate. So it may grow, okay, erect, right, of course, the prostate, which means thalloid here, and this one alternates with the short-lived sporophyte. So coming to sporophyte, this is short-lived. In case of bryophytes, the sporophyte is short-lived, and okay, this is again multicellular. So in the sporophyte is multicellular in case of bryophytes, because we know the sporophyte and gametophyte in haplodiplontic life cycles, both the phases will be multicellular. So hence we see in case of bryophytes also the sporophyte is multicellular, and this will depend on the gametophyte partially or totally for its nutrition and also for anchorage. Then coming to pteridophytes. Okay, in pteridophytes, so here sporophyte is dominant. Okay, and of course then after gymnosperms and angiosperms, all of them will have sporophyte as dominant. Okay, and this sporophyte is dominant and it is independent. Okay, and it is photosynthetic, so it has leaves. Okay, they will perform photosynthesis. Okay, and in case of pteridophytes, the sporophyte is vascular plant body. In case of bryophytes, it is the sporophyte is not vascular, because we know the pteridophytes are first vascular plants. They have vascular tissues. In bryophytes, we don't find vascular tissues. Okay, and then when coming to the gametophyte, so this gametophyte is saprophytic or autotrophic. So gametophyte. So this is saprophytic or autotrophic, and this will be multicellular. Okay, so this is multicellular and again independent. So it does not depend on sporophyte. It is independent. Okay, and short-lived. So this is independent and short-lived. Okay, that is the difference between the gametophyte and sporophyte, between between the bryophytes and pteridophytes. Okay, so that's all about the three types of life cycles. So in the beginning I told you that in case of alga, okay, in alga or in algae, okay, so we see that all the three in algae, all the three types of life cycles are seen. So here not in one plant, I mean that okay, some species will exhibit haplontic life cycle, some will exhibit diplontic life cycle, and some other will exhibit haplo-diplontic life cycle. So here let's see the haplontic life cycle. Means in algae the haplontic life cycle is exhibited by, okay, so already I have mentioned uh, most algal genera exhibit this haplontic life cycle, right? And coming to diplontic life cycle, so this diplontic life cycle will be exhibited by fucus is an example, and haplodiplontic life cycle, haplodiplontic life cycle are exhibited by ectocarpus, okay, polysiphonium, then kelps, etc. They exhibit the haplodiplontic life cycles. Okay, so that's all about the different types of life cycles. So now we shall see objective questions on this chapter. So let's see the objective questions. The first question from level 1. So a plant shows thallus level of organization. It shows rhizoids and is haploid, and it needs water to complete its life cycle because the male gametes are motile. So identify to which it belongs to. So the options here: pteridophytes, gymnosperms, monocots, and bryophytes. So in case of pteridophytes, we don't find the main plant body with the thallus level of organization. So here, in this case of pteridophytes, the dominant phase is sporophyte, which is well differentiated. Okay, and coming to gymnosperms, also the same case. We don't find thallus level of organization. Okay, the main plant body is sporophyte, which will be diploid. So here they have mentioned it haploid, and they also have rhizoids, which we don't see in case of the pteridophytes as well as gymnosperms, and also in case of monocots, which are grouped under angiosperms. Okay, so here all these characters, they belong to the group bryophytes. So hence answer, that is option D, is the right answer. The next question, prothallus is. So here in case of pteridophytes, okay, in pteridophytes, the spores which are released, so these spores will be haploid. So on germination, they give rise to, on germination they give rise to, of course, the gametophyte, and that will be actually a structure called a prothallus. So this is it gives rise to a thalloid gametophytes, gives rise to thalloid gametophyte. So this thalloid gametophyte, uh, okay, is called the prothallus. Is prothallus. So it's a very small, okay, in I mean inconspicuous. That is very okay, not seen clearly, and it's multicellular. So this prothallus is multicellular, inconspicuous, okay, small, and this is free living and photosynthetic. So it is independent and photosynthetic. It means it performs photosynthesis. Okay, so let's see the options. A structure in pteridophytes formed before the thallus develops. No, so that's a wrong statement. A sporophytic free living structure, prothallus is not a sporophyte. This is wrong. Then a gametophytic free living structure formed in pteridophytes. Yes, this is a right statement. A primitive structure formed after fertilization in pteridophytes. Okay, wrong. So after fertilization, it results in the formation of zygote, okay, which will be the first cell of okay, sporophyte. This is wrong. So hence the option C is the right answer. So the next question, endosperm of gymnosperms is, we know that endosperm is, okay, the nutrition for developing embryo. So nutrition for developing embryo. And here in case of gymnosperms, this endosperm will develop even before fertilization. Okay, so endosperm development in gymnosperms is, okay, a pre-fertilization event. It's a pre-fertilization event. So it means it takes place before fertilization. So this endosperm is not at all fertilized. So usually the cell which develops this endosperm will be haploid. Okay, so the haploid uh, cell will develop into endosperm. So hence in case of this in case of gymnosperms, the endosperm will be haploid. So endosperm of gymnosperms or cycas is haploid. That is option C is the right answer. So the next question, in the prothallus of vascular cryptogam, the anthrazoids and eggs mature at different times. Okay, so here the vascular cryptogam. Okay, so here the first vascular cryptogam here is pteridophytes, the group Pteridophyta. Okay, so here the prothallus, which is the haploid gametophyte, okay, so which produces the male and female gametes. So here, producing them at different times is actually an adaptation to avoid self fertilization. To avoid self-fertilization. So let's see the options. So there is a high degree of sterility, that's a wrong. So one can conclude that the plant is apomictic. No, the plant is not apomictic. So here the option C, self-fertilization is prevented. Yes, it prevents self-fertilization. So when anthrazoids and eggs mature at different times, there is no change in success rate of fertilization. This is also a wrong statement. So here option C is the right answer. Next question, tracheophyta includes. So here uh, tracheophytes are plants that have, so plants that have vascular tissues. So here out of the five groups of plants, the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, then gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, out of these five, the last three are tracheophytes. So because these three groups of plants have vascular tissues, okay, so whereas these algae and bryophytes are not tracheophytes, so these are not tracheophytes. Okay, so let's see the options. Pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Yes, only spermatophytes. So this spermatophyte includes gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, so hence this is wrong. Bryophytes are not tracheophytes. So just now I told you here. Okay, so this is also wrong. So thallophytes, of course, the thallophytes include algae. So algae and bryophytes, again, so both are wrong. So here the option A is the right answer.
Next question. Pick out the wrong statement. So the first option, double fertilization is unique to gymnosperms and monocotyledons. So here double fertilization is unique to angiosperms. Okay, so here double fertilization is seen only in angiosperms. So that includes dicots and also monocots. So here they mentioned unique to gymnosperms, so this is wrong. So hence overall this statement is wrong. Sequoia, a gymnosperm, is one of the tallest trees. Yes, this is right. And Phaeophyceae members possess a chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. Yes, this is also a right statement. So moss is a gametophyte which consists of two stages, namely protonema stage and leafy stage. Yes, this is also right statement. So the wrong statement is option A. So right option is A. The next question, Selaginella and Salvinia are considered to represent a significant step towards evolution of seed habit. So for a seed habit, okay, so embryo should develop on the sporophyte itself. So let's see the options. The female gametophyte is free and gets dispersed like seeds. This is wrong statement. Female gametophytes lack archegonia. Okay, so this is also not the answer. Megaspores possess endosperm and embryo surrounded by seed coat. No. Embryo develops in the female gametophyte, which is retained on the parent sporophyte. Yes, this is the right. Uh, for this step towards evolution of seed habit. So the option D is the right answer. The next question, pteridophytes are called vascular cryptogams because they are non-seeded plants containing. So here vascular cryptogams are the one who have the vascular tissues. Okay, so they have vascular tissues and those vascular tissues will be xylem and phloem. Okay, so here the pteridophytes are the vascular cryptogams who have xylem and phloem. So only xylem, no. Only phloem, no. Neither xylem nor phloem, no. So that is xylem and phloem. So both they have. So option D is the right answer. Next question, match the columns here. Okay, so reserve food materials present in which species. So here first one, glycogen. So glycogen is a reserve food materials in case of agaricus. So fungus. So here, so it's an example of fungus. Okay, agaricus. So glycogen is a reserve food material in them. Then the next one, pyrenoids. So the pyrenoids are reserve food materials, of course, which are composed of protein and starch, and these we can see them in Spirogyra algae. So in algae we find these pyrenoids. So yes, then laminarin and mannitol. So here there is a spelling mistake, so it should be mannitol. So laminarin and mannitol we see in case of brown algae, that is Phaeophyceae. Okay, so laminarin and mannitol are reserve foods in case of Phaeophyceae group. So here one example of this Phaeophyceae is a sargassum. So here it's a P. Then Floridian starch is a reserve food material. So Floridian starch is a reserve food material in case of Rhodophyceae. In case of Rhodophyceae. So here one example of Rhodophyceae is Polysiphonia. So actually this is L, Polysiphonia. So here it's R. Okay, so here the option C is the right answer. Next question, read the following statements and identify correct option. Angiosperms range in size from microscopic ulfia to tall trees of eucalyptus. Yes, this is a right statement. In angiosperm, seeds are enclosed by fruits. Yes, this is also a right statement. And double fertilization is unique. I mean, it's an event unique to angiosperms. Yes, this is also a right statement. In angiosperms, each cell of the embryo sac is diploid. No. So here we know the embryo sac consists of right three antipodals. Okay, so these antipodal cells are antipodal cells are haploid. Okay, so these are haploid. All cells are haploid in case of embryo sac. So this is the embryo sac, and we find here the synergid cells, and these are also haploid. And here is an egg cell, so this is also haploid. And of course here we find polar nuclei, each of that also haploid. So polar nuclei, so they are also haploid. So in angiosperms, each cell of embryo sac is diploid is a wrong statement. In angiosperms, the zygote develops into an uh, endosperm. So this is also wrong. So zygote will not develop into endosperm. Zygote will develop into embryo. Will develop into embryo. So here let's see the options A, B, C are right statements. So option C, A, B, C alone are correct. So option C is the right answer. So with this, I will end today's session. So in the next session, we will see questions from level 2 and level 3.